Tonight on Connecticut's news station, more snow across the state. A look at the latest conditions, plus the impact the snow is having for businesses.
And the countdown is on for Bridgeport voters to head back to the polls. We have a preview of the primary redo.
And new details coming out of the tronus trial. The family's longtime nanny gave testimony. We'll hear what she had to say.
Fox 61, Connecticut's news station, begins with a Weather Watch alert.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. Another round of snow across the state. This was the scene early this morning in Hartford. Flakes coming down, covering the roads, making it a slick morning commute.
But what can we expect for the rest of the night? Well, Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joins us now with that answer. Rach.
Things are really winding down fast out there. Just a few lingering flurries and maybe a light sugar coating of additional snow accumulation. We started with snow last night into early this morning. Then we transitioned over to an icy mix of freezing rain and sleet. And now for the grand finale, the icing on the cake. Again, a few leftover flurries are out there, and you're seeing them showing up on the radar right now in Bloomfield and Farmington. And that extends down through Berlin and Durham. And even in eastern Connecticut, Ledyard might be seeing a few flakes, and Brooklyn and Killingly, after seeing hours of icing, might be seeing a few snowflakes just to kind of finish things off here. But this is the clearing line. So maybe flurries for the next hour or so, but that'll be about it. The problem is, even long after precipitation ends, temperatures will only continue to drop and icy spots will likely remain. Temperatures tonight, right now we're in the 20s to right around 30 degrees, but we're looking at overnight lows that'll be in the teens as we head towards daybreak. Overnight low of 15 in Hartford and near 20 degrees for the New Haven area. There's no refreeze for inland areas because we've been below freezing all day, but for areas like Groton that are above freezing right now, any slushy or wet areas certainly could ice over. And during the day tomorrow, we don't see temperatures climb all that much. We're only looking at highs in the upper 20s, so staying below freezing. For a look at conditions outside and how people were kind of braving the weather today, let's head to meteorologist Ryan Breton live in the storm tracker. Ryan, we have a lot of winter lovers that really root for snow, but nobody likes ice.
You're 100% right, Rachel. Sleet, freezing rain, no thanks, does no good. And it's created a real mess throughout the day today. Here's a live look at the roads in downtown Hartford. We're right on the edge of Bushnell Park here, and you can still see there's some slushy and sloppy snow out there right now. And you'll probably notice a lot of the ice that's caked up on your car windows and doors, too, if you haven't been out all day. While it's not a big storm that hit us, there have been some disruptions through the day. The morning snow turning into an afternoon mess of sleet and freezing rain. A light snowfall becoming a slick mess. Part of Route 5 in East Windsor closed for several hours after a crash.
It was a propane tanker that was involved in the accident. It is continuing to off gas at this time. We've been here now for several hours working on this.
James Barton, chief of Warehouse Point Fire District, telling Fox 61 DEEP was called to the scene, and people on Route 5 between Abbey Road and Stoughton Road were told to leave.
We did end up evacuating the immediate businesses in the area. Just as a precaution, we did have a lot of propane leaking out of the tanker truck.
Power also shut down this morning as crews assessed the risk, but fortunately there are not many homes in the area.
There was one home that nobody was home at the time.
Down the road in West Hartford, Blueback Square, strangely quiet after lunchtime. The sidewalks coated in a layer of ice as sleet, ice pellets change to freezing rain, or rain that falls and freezes on any untreated surface.
It's pretty cold. We probably wouldn't have come out if it weren't for the dog needing dog food.
Sarah Hoysel out in the ice and snow, having to walk the dog in conditions that have been rare so far this winter.
Not having snow has been nice, but he likes the snow, so it's mild, but a little snow, I guess, can't hurt.
And while it's been mild, the cold weather looks to last for a while. And back live on the other side of Bushnell Park as we come up toward the Capitol building. You can see here the roads are definitely still covered and slick. Rachel mentioned we're not really dealing with a refreeze. It's more that nothing's melted, and we've had sleet and freezing rain falling into that frozen air all day long after the snow we dealt with this morning. Rachel will have more coming up in just a little while, but for now we're live in the storm tracker in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Ryan Breton, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
The Fox 61 Storm Tracker is sponsored by Nero Facilities Management.
And of course, speaking of slick roads, there were a lot of crashes across the state this morning due to all the snow and the sleet and the freezing rain and everything we got. The tractor trailer carrying bananas here rolled over in Stonington on I-95 northbound around 6:30. State police say there were possible injuries here, but the extent of those injuries is unclear at this point.
Part of Route 5 in East Windsor was closed for some time today because of a propane tanker crash that happened in the area of Abbey and Stoughton Roads, as Ryan mentioned there. The area was also evacuated while crews were on scene. It's unknown if there are any injuries.
All right, now to our continuing coverage of the Michelle Troconis trial as it reaches day 3 in Stamford Superior Court.
As a reminder, Troconis is facing conspiracy to commit murder charges in connection to the death and disappearance of Jennifer Farber-Dulos. Now, Jennifer was a mom of 5 from New Canaan, last seen in May of 2019.
Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc has been covering the trial since day 1. She joins us now live outside the courthouse with a recap. Julia.
Good evening to you both. Well, in our last hour here on Fox 61, you all heard from a retired Connecticut State Police detective who walked us through the evidence he says he found in Jennifer Dulos' New Canaan home after she went missing. Now, he's the guy we heard the most from today, but then in the last 45 minutes, we did hear from the Dulos family longtime nanny. Now, Lauren Almeida says she started working for the Dulos family in September of 2012. At first, it was part-time, but quickly she became the full-time nanny for the Dulos children, all 5 of them. Soon, she would see the dynamics between Fotis and Jennifer. At first, she says they seemed to get along just fine. She did notice, however, Fotis, a business owner, was not home most of the time, but she says she tried not to judge and initially saw him as a kind man. And when it came to Jennifer, she says she had a close relationship with her kids.
They always wanted to be next to mommy. It was just kind of what it was. And she would sing to them and laugh at them, and she never raised her voice.
Now, Almeida continued working for the Dulos family for years. In fact, she actually still does. And soon, she began to notice a different dynamic between Fotis and Jennifer, one where she says Fotis was harsh with Jennifer, who didn't like conflict. Then she says she saw things take a turn.
The big dynamic change was in March of 2017, which is when Jennifer found out about his affair.
Now, Almeida finishing her testimony tonight talking about a trip to Miami when she says she first met Michelle Troconis, of course, the defendant in this case, and it's actually the first time we are hearing from one of the state's witnesses mention Troconis' name themselves. And that is also the last thing we heard today with the jurors sent home for the rest of the day. Of course, the trial picks back up again tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll be there and we'll bring you the latest. For now, though, we're live in Stamford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Julia, thank you. A Ledyard man faces charges tonight after allegedly threatening his neighbor with a rake. Police say Mark Uderstadt was allegedly digging up his neighbor's front yard on Laurel Avenue and refused to leave. He allegedly then swung that rake at the neighbor. Uderstadt told police he was digging up the yard because he believed they were trying to install a water line. He's being held on $15,000 bond. And East Lyme police have identified the second person who was killed in a house fire on Willow Lane last week. Police confirming Odagile Morolane was killed. The other victim was previously identified as Meryl Lozanoff. Cause of the fire remains under investigation tonight. In just 1 week, voters in Bridgeport will head to the polls again.
They'll be casting their ballots for mayor in an unprecedented do-over primary after a judge found evidence of absentee ballot fraud. Fox 61's Matt Caron brings us up to date.
Well, the big question here in Bridgeport is, will people be motivated enough to vote after already doing it twice before?
I am planning on voting. There's one candidate that I prefer over the other one.
Next week marks round 3 of voting for mayor in Bridgeport, thanks to the now infamous video of city employee Wanda Jeter allegedly filling ballot boxes with envelopes.
It's sad that nothing has been done. There's really has been no criminal charges or arrests made.
With well wishes scrawled on the wall of his campaign headquarters, candidate John Gomes sat down with Fox 61 to deliver a message to Bridgeport's electorate.
The most important thing is I ask every voter out there to please come out and vote.
And despite having 2 election monitors and new restrictions on absentee balloting in place, the Office of the Secretary of the State is encouraging you to vote in person, saying our monitors cannot do it all.
We know that voting in person is very powerful here because we've had so many issues with absentee ballot abuse and fraud.
Jameem Davis runs Bridgeport Generation Now, a group committed to fighting voter apathy, disenfranchisement, and fatigue. She tells us democracy is at stake.
It is very shocking that no one has been arrested. There's clear evidence that fraud was happening here in the primary election. And so it is very shocking, and we're waiting patiently. The people of Bridgeport are waiting to see if our democracy is really going to be protected.
Fox 61 reached out to the campaign of Mayor Joe Ganim, who didn't get back to us. But he did write a recent newspaper editorial claiming Gomes, who used to work for the Ganim administration, was fired after getting arrested in 2009. Essentially calling his candidacy a fraud. Gomes fired back.
This is the type of tactics he's been playing. He's been deviating from the true information, the necessary information that we need to put out to the public. And quite frankly, the people of Bridgeport are tired of it. They see through it, and it's really a joke.
According to data from the state, more than 2,000 absentee ballots have been issued for this upcoming mayoral do-over primary. But with just a week left, so far only 400 of them have been returned. The Gomes campaign backed away from a previous commitment to accept the results regardless of the outcome.
From our campaign, we need to make sure that everything is done fair and equal.
The Gomes campaign claims the same bad actors are continuing to harvest absentee ballots despite those safeguards being put in place. Gomes saying that they are just a temporary fix, but a step in the right direction. Reporting in Bridgeport, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.